Hello, my name is C.J. Lovik, and I'm producing this short video in an abundance of caution, as I have received questions from some of my subscribers and others regarding my last What If video. The Lord has given us a simple revelation that I believe we are to take literally. The Lord has told us that based on His 1 day for a 1,000-year calendar, His 7 days in a weekly cycle, that we are meant to understand a 7,000 years, which each day being exactly 1,000 years in duration, is in place. There is only one literal 1,000-year period that the Lord has disclosed to us, and that is the 1,000 years repeated 6 times in Revelation 20. Not 999 years, not 1,001 years, but exactly 1,000 years. 1,000 years that He will reign on the earth from Jerusalem. 1,000 years that starts with an angel casting Satan, who is bound with chains, into the abyss, where he will be in prison for exactly 1,000 years, to be released to deceive the nations one last time, at exactly the same time that the Lord concludes His ministry on the earth, His rule and reign, and returns to heaven, having reigned for exactly 1,000 years. The question is, could the 1,000 years of Christ's reign end 1 year before the end of the final sabbatical cycle? Could the final battle take place after the 1,000-year reign of Christ, but before the end of the 7,000th year sabbatical cycle? Well, there's only one way that might happen. If, for example, the 7,000-year count begins with the sin event of 3971, that took place exactly 4,000 years from the cross event of 30 AD, then the 6,000th and 7,000th year could begin in 2030 and end in 3030 AD, completing the 1,000-year reign of Christ, with 1 year left to complete the 7,000th year sabbatical cycle, which would allow time for the final battle. But in order to accomplish this, you would need exactly 7,001 years. 7,000 sabbatical years and 1 extra year. That would mean that the count starts on the 6th year of the previous sabbatical cycle, which would raise some concerns. So where are we on God's 7,000-year sabbatical cycle, and when can we expect the 70th week of Daniel to begin? I have noticed that the timing of the Torah calendar is being highly touted and used to create an expectation that the 70th week of Daniel may begin on the Jubilee year of 5783, that they say ends this September. According to the Torah calendar, which has little to do with the Torah and was produced over 100 years after the cross event of 30 AD, well, that calendar announces that we are in the year 5783 Anno Mundi, in other words, 5,783 years from creation. So if you take 5,782 years and you divide it by 7, you end up with exactly 826 sabbatical cycles based on the Torah calendar. 5,782 years divided by 49 equals 118. So the 118th Jubilee begins the following year. The Torah proposed creation date of 3761 based on the Roman calendar is also something you need to take note of. This means, according to the Torah calendar, that we are currently in the 2nd year of a sabbatical cycle that ended in September of 2022. According to the reckoning of the Torah calendar, the 826th sabbatical cycle that ended in September of 2022 began a Jubilee year that started on the 10th of Tishri, 5782 Anno Mundi, which is September of 2022 on the Roman calendar, and that it will come to an end on the Feast of Trumpets, Tishri 1, in 5783, which is September 15th and 16th of September 2023 on the Roman calendar. According to the Torah calendar, if the 70th week of Daniel does not begin before the end of the Jubilee year, then it cannot begin until the next sabbatical cycle begins in the Torah calendar year of 5790 Anno Mundi. In other words, when we translate the Torah calendar to Roman years, it means that if the 70th week of Daniel does not begin before the Feast of Trumpets on the Jubilee year that began in September of 2022, then we must wait 7 years before another sabbatical cycle begins. So to be perfectly clear, the The sabbatical cycle based on the Torah calendar began in 2022. If you add 7 years, then the next sabbatical cycle cannot begin until the year 2029 on the Roman calendar. In other words, if the 70th week of Daniel does not begin in September on the Jubilee year of 2023, then based on the Torah calendar, Daniel's 70th week cannot begin until 2029. And that should be reason enough to abandon the Torah calendar. Keep in mind that the Jubilee that those who are using the Torah calendar are announcing does not begin in 2023. No, it comes to an end by their own reckoning. I believe the Torah calendar is incorrect and out of sync by 1 year with the Bereshit calendar that began in the year 4005 BC. I believe the Lord may come for us at any time before the start of the 70th week of Daniel that cannot begin until 6,000 years from the sabbatical cycle that started the year after the sin event in 3970 BC and ends 6,000 years later on the Jubilee year of 2031 AD. And a final note to all those that believe I cannot add, as they calculate the duration of time based on the BC and AD dates, let me just say, as kindly as I can, that method of calculation will always result in an error whenever you're looking for the actual duration of time. Please check it out on a duration calendar of time. And those of you that are casting stones at my ministry based on my faulty math, you don't need to send me an apology. I will simply be blessed to know that you have figured it out, just like I had to. Keep looking up, as based on the Lord's 7,000-year calendar, we are just moments away from fully and finally realizing the completion of our redemption as we will exchange these mortal bodies for heavenly, eternal, glorified bodies. I can hardly wait. Maranatha.